JK is rolling out the disappointment, and he is definitely talking about it and what's going on with this. I promise you it's not that bad. JK also has potentially what fans believe and angry react to some of the fan art that's been shown, and then we have people believing that some fan art or some fanfics might get sued. Say Dumplings is Dave decide hate it or not. Make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Make sure you join us at Fangirling on Patreon with some free content on Saturdays now, and let's go. The boys, and I think most of the label and people in the entertainment industry, don't really care about fan art or fanfic. I think that it's really hard to control that because people are going to have their imagination, people are going to write stories, and if anything, it strengthens the community because now you have a community where they're obsessed with the fanfiction, and then they're going to create more engagement around this artist. However, there are several things that I believe crosses a line if someone were to be extremely raunchy and make that content, or they were to create content that I think even people who are not the artist would be uncomfortable. Now, I'm making this up, this is a very extreme case, but if we had a bloody situation where someone was into that sort of thing as like a fetish, and they were to create the BTS members in that way, like create fan art of that. First of all, obviously, if the artists were to see it, they would be extremely disturbed by it. And I think a lot of people within the community, if they were to see something like that, they would be extremely disturbed by it. A long time ago, I think I talked about a specific fan art that I found to be quite disturbing and obviously not great. And they actually ended up messaging me to tell me that it was like a private thing and that was within their Patreon or whatever it was. But the bottom line is, this is a type of content that maybe you should keep to yourself. It's not something that you should hide behind a paywall. It's something that maybe it shouldn't exist online. And as someone who had studied psychology in college, I try very hard to understand specific fetishes or what people like to create, but there's a line that needs to be drawn with that. And when it crosses that line, that is either disgusting, repulsive, or violent, then do not put that out in the universe. Some people were talking about the influx of fanfiction that has flooded the Twitter sphere because of the new Jimin and JK reality show, vlog, documentary, whatever you want to call it, that is coming out. Very interesting because since the release of this, I'd say several ship communities have gone extremely feral and they're very angry when in reality, I don't see this as anything to be angry about. If you see two people making a video or a vlog together, it does not mean anything about dating or anything like that. It's just a video. Even if they were to kiss on camera and they were to do that, who's to say that they were actually dating and it's not just fan service? Like, who's to say it's real? Not too long ago, Suga actually talked about this and how he felt about it. This was during a live stream, and I think someone asked him what his feelings were about fan fiction, and I guess he was uncomfortable with it. I'm not sure. He said that if they write it like the fans write it, the company would probably sue them, and then he himself would never see it, so it's a win-win situation. Now, I don't know if this was like fake subs or whatever it was, but I think if it's real, it's kind of funny. Now, actually, what the label probably would take action on is probably the more disturbing things. I doubt they would take action on fan fiction that was just like two people hanging out having fun and nothing crazy like that. In order to be sued, things have to be so dramatically bad. And I also think that it's a case-by-case basis. I think some of the members would be a little bit more uncomfortable with certain fan fictions or whatever, and others would be less uncomfortable with it. I mean, I would think that at this point, the BTS members are probably less uncomfortable with it as their label had put out their own thing, which is their way, I think, of them saying that they want to see more of it. I have no idea. And so it's rare to see a member get disappointed or angry. In fact, I don't think it actually happens. The only time in which I've seen JK specifically talk about disappointment, not necessarily that he was disappointed in the community, but that he didn't want to make the community disappointed, was when he talked about one of his old songs. I've been recently very obsessed with this song, so I wanted to have an opportunity to kind of talk about it and rediscuss it. And this is the song My You. This was a song that was put out a couple years ago, obviously before JK enlisted, and this song was half English and half Korean. And when he said half English, half Korean, it was really half and half. Like, I believe the first verse is in English, second verse is in Korean, and then the bridge is like half and half. He talked about it during one of his videos. I think this was during his reality show In the Soup, which, by the way, you can check out the series on Patreon. I think I've reacted to both seasons fully on Patreon, and it's just $1 to get access to all the videos, so make sure you check it out, linked in the description. He talked about this song, and he was kind of saying that he wanted to make it half and half, because he didn't want to disappoint the community by making it fully Korean or fully English. So he said that if he had made it fully English, a lot of his Korean fans would be extremely upset by this, and maybe knowingly to him, since he knows his audience really well. It actually did happen when he made his album and started putting out more English songs. I think he got a lot of backlash and a lot of people saying that he wasn't keeping true to his roots. This is something that irks me because I feel like after all these years of people listening to K-pop, people enjoying it, they still really don't know what K-pop is. K-pop is a genre of music, I guess you can call it that, but it's really just pop music, and it should be lumped into the same category as all pop music. It's something that sounds the same as American pop music, so to not lump it in and put it with its own separate category just because the language is different is very odd to me, and has always been very odd to me. Because if you just did the English version of a K-pop song, it would sound like an American song. Now what I'm trying to say here is that K-pop should have brought out this inclusion, this diversity in people, where they realize that music is just music no matter the language. So if a K-pop star were to sing in English, it's still music, but it's just sung by a Korean person. Like K-pop fans love to say to people who do not like K-pop and think K-pop is weird, they love to say, oh, it's the same thing, it's just pop music in a different language. Oh, you're racist for not liking that language, or for not liking us because it's in a different language. But then at the same time, when K-pop artists do English songs, now you're arguing over the exact same thing, which is the language and not liking that language. This goes back to this idea that those people believe that K-pop or speaking Korean is always going to be better than speaking English. And I don't necessarily like that. I feel like that's what K-pop was trying to fight against, which was separation. But realizing that some people who like K-pop like the idea that they were the only people that were liking it and wanted to gatekeep it and all that. So I actually really liked that song, and I was very excited when he put it out, and I'm still listening to it nonstop. It gives me the beautiful feeling. And a lot of people do think that if JK were to go into fanfic, like as we were mentioning earlier, and look at everything, he would be very disappointed in the community, and he'd be very angry. There's been several TikTok accounts and Twitter accounts that have been protesting a very interesting fanfic of V and JK, and specifically like tongue kissing, like with saliva and being really raunchy. I mean, there's stuff that I can't even show here in this video, nor would I even recommend anyone to look up, because it's essentially adult content. Now, this is something that I struggle with, because I see a lot of people yell sexual harassment when these types of photos or videos are put out. I don't know. I believe, yes, I believe that this would count, but at the same time, I'm like, well, it's a drawing. Like, is it really? Because it could be anybody, right? But then it's also the members' faces, so then it is sexualizing him in a very specific way and without his consent. So I understand where that's coming from. But at the same time, people who draw something, they are the ones that hold the copyright. So the picture technically isn't even owned by the singer that is being drawn. So in that sense, the person who is drawing the picture can do whatever they want, I guess. But I understand why people are upset, because the bottom line of it is that the person drawing didn't get consent from the artist to draw them and draw this raunchy. Specific images where it was like V and JK were like opening their mouths and like tongue kissing, and it was kind of hard to watch because it's very difficult to see them in that way. Also, imagine if they were actually truly just friends. Imagine seeing a drawing of you and your friend making out. Like, it's gross. But of course, I imagine they're probably used to it, but I would imagine they probably wouldn't want to see content like that. Like, if I saw a photo of me kind of doing a sexual act, I think I would be very uncomfortable. I would be very uncomfortable because I would be like, I didn't really do that. That's so weird. And I'm someone who's very open-minded when it comes to that sort of stuff. And I would still feel like it would be uncomfortable for me to see that. Now, is JK or the label going to take legal action if you do something like that? Probably not, as they haven't. But it's still something that I would try to keep to myself. I wouldn't be someone who would be posting that. The only reason I can see why someone would maybe post it on Patreon or whatever is to make money. And I definitely believe that content should not be making money. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Links to this little bit comment right here. Love you. Bye.